Good morning. It is an honor to stand before you today to speak about something that affects every one of us. Whether you are an entrepreneur, a student, a corporate executive, a creative, an educator, a parent, or a leader. Today, we are not just talking about productivity. We are talking about attention. We are talking about fulfillment. We are talking about excellence. We are talking about what it means to truly engage with our lives and our work. Because let's be honest, America is tired. Not weak, not incapable, not unmotivated, tired. We live in the most technologically advanced era in human history. We carry supercomputers in our pockets. We have access to unlimited information. We can communicate across continents instantly. And yet we are more distracted than ever, more anxious, more overwhelmed, more mentally fragmented. We scroll, we click, we refresh, we react. But how often do we truly focus? How often do we experience deep satisfaction at the end of a workday and think, that mattered. I was fully there. In the United States, productivity has become almost a moral virtue. We celebrate hustle. We glorify the grind. We praise those who sleep less and do more. Silicon Valley built an empire on speed. Wall Street rewards intensity. Corporate culture honors availability. But somewhere along the way, we confused motion with progress. Being busy is not the same as being effective. Answering emails all day is not the same as creating value. Attending meetings is not the same as moving the needle, and exhaustion is not proof of importance. What if I told you that the most productive people in the world don't necessarily work more hours? What if I told you that peak performance doesn't come from pushing harder, but from aligning smarter? What if I told you that there is a mental state, a scientifically documented state, where your performance increases dramatically, creativity expands, stress decreases, and work becomes deeply satisfying? That state is called flow. The concept was introduced by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who spent decades studying what makes life worth living. After interviewing thousands of high performers, artists, athletes, surgeons, musicians, CEOs, he discovered something profound. The happiest and most productive people all described a similar experience: total immersion, loss of self-consciousness, distorted sense of time, complete engagement. They described flow. Today, I want to explore not only what flow is, but why it may be the missing ingredient in American productivity. Because this is not just about working better. It's about living better. It's about replacing burnout with mastery. It's about replacing distraction with depth. It's about reclaiming our most valuable asset in the 21st century, our attention. So as we begin, I invite you to reflect on this question. When was the last time you felt completely absorbed in what you were doing? Not half present, not multitasking, not mentally elsewhere, but fully there. That feeling is not rare by accident. It is rare by design. And today, we're going to learn how to design it back into our lives. Your original speech body remains here. What is flow? The American productivity paradox, neuroscience of flow, flow versus burnout, designing a flow-friendly life, unchanged in core structure. Let me start with a question. Have you ever had a day where time disappeared? You sat down to work. You started something challenging. And suddenly, it was 3 hours later. You didn't check your phone. You didn't think about lunch. You weren't distracted. You weren't tired. You were alive. You were focused. You were fully immersed. That experience has a name. It's called flow. The concept of flow was pioneered by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who described it as the optimal state of consciousness where we feel and perform our best. But today, I'm not here to give you a psychology lecture. I'm here to talk about something urgent. In America today, productivity is under attack. Distraction is the new normal. Burnout is widespread. Attention spans are shrinking. Stress is rising. And despite working longer hours, many people feel like they're achieving less. We are busy, but we are not effective. We are connected, but we are not focused. We are overwhelmed, but we are not fulfilled. And the missing ingredient? Flow. Today, I want to show you why flow is not just a nice mental state. It is the foundation of elite productivity, deep satisfaction, and meaningful work. And by the end of this hour, you will know what flow truly is, why most people rarely experience it, how modern American work culture blocks it, and how to deliberately design your life and work around it. Because flow isn't accidental, it's engineered. Part 1, what is flow? Minutes 5:15. Flow is not motivation. It's not willpower. It's not discipline. Flow is a state of deep absorption where your skills perfectly match the challenge in front of you. In flow, self-doubt disappears. Time distorts, focus intensifies. Action feels effortless. Performance skyrockets. Research shows that in flow, productivity can increase by up to 500%. 500%. Imagine multiplying your output without multiplying your stress. That's not hustle culture. That's alignment. Flow happens when three conditions exist. 1, clear goals. 2, immediate feedback. 3, balance between challenge and skill. Too easy? You're bored. Too hard? You're anxious. Just right? You enter flow. Think about athletes. When Michael Jordan was in the zone, he wasn't thinking about endorsements or the media. He was fully present in the game. When Serena Williams stepped onto the court, her focus narrowed to the serve, the return, the rhythm. When entrepreneurs build something transformative, when artists paint for hours without noticing time, when coders disappear into deep problem solving, that's flow. But here's the truth. Most Americans rarely experience it at work. Why? Because our environments are designed for interruption. Part 2, the American productivity paradox, minutes 15:25. America values productivity. We celebrate hard work. We admire long hours. We reward visibility. But we confuse activity with effectiveness. The average American worker checks email 70+ times a day. We glance at our phones every few minutes. Meetings fragment our schedules. Notifications fracture our concentration. Open offices eliminate privacy. We multitask constantly. And multitasking is a myth. Your brain does not multitask. It switches. And every switch comes with a cognitive cost. Studies show it can take up to 20 minutes to fully regain focus after an interruption. Now imagine you're interrupted every 10 minutes. You never enter flow. You live on the surface of your potential. In a culture obsessed with speed, we've lost depth. And depth is where flow lives. The irony? The very technology meant to enhance productivity often destroys it. Silicon Valley executives limit their children's screen time. Why? Because attention is the most valuable currency of the 21st century, and whoever controls your attention controls your productivity. Flow requires uninterrupted attention, which means flow requires courage. The courage to turn off notifications, say no to unnecessary meetings, protect your calendar, work in silence. In America, busyness is worn like a badge of honor, but busyness is not excellence. Flow is excellence. Part 3, the neuroscience of flow, minutes 25-35. When you enter flow, your brain changes. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for self-criticism and doubt, temporarily quiets down. This phenomenon is called transient hypofrontality. In simple terms, your inner critic goes silent. That voice that says, "You're not good enough. This won't work. Someone else is better." It fades. At the same time, your brain releases a cocktail of performance-enhancing chemicals: dopamine, motivation and reward; norepinephrine, focus; endorphins, pleasure; anandamide, creativity; serotonin, satisfaction. Flow is not just productive, it's addictive. But unlike social media addiction, flow builds you. It stretches you. It strengthens you. It increases confidence. It creates mastery. And mastery builds meaning. When Americans report dissatisfaction at work, it's often not because of laziness. It's because of a lack of progress. Flow creates progress. Every session of deep work builds skill, and skill builds power. Part 4, flow versus burnout, minutes 35-45. Let's talk about burnout. Burnout is exhaustion without progress. Flow is effort with growth. The difference? Challenge skill balance. Burnout happens when demands exceed perceived ability for too long. Flow happens when you stretch, but not snap. Many American professionals live in chronic stress mode: emails at night, Slack messages at midnight, weekend work, constant availability. That is not flow. That is survival. Flow requires recovery. Elite athletes don't train 24/7. They train intensely. Then they recover deliberately. Productivity works the same way. Work in focused sprints, then rest fully. Flow cannot exist in exhaustion. Sleep matters. Exercise matters. Silence matters. You don't earn flow by grinding yourself into the ground. You earn it by respecting your brain. Part 5, designing a flow-friendly life, minutes 45-55. Now let's get practical. How do you create flow deliberately? 1. Schedule deep work. Block 90-minute sessions. No phone, no email, no interruptions. Defend this time like it's sacred. 2. Increase challenge gradually. If your work is boring, raise the stakes. If it's overwhelming, break it into smaller wins. Flow lives at the edge of your comfort zone. 3. Create rituals. Same time, same place, same trigger. Your brain learns to enter focus faster. 4. Eliminate friction. Clear desk, close tabs, noise control. Make focus easy. 5. Track progress. Immediate feedback accelerates flow. Writers track word count. Salespeople track calls. Athletes track reps. Measurement fuels motivation. Part 6. The meaning of flow. Minutes 55 to 60. Here's the deeper truth. Flow is not just about productivity. It's about aliveness. When you are in flow, you are not worried about the past. You are not anxious about the future. You are fully here. And in a world that constantly pulls you away from the present moment, flow brings you back. Imagine an America where students learn in deep focus, entrepreneurs build with intention, leaders think clearly, workers feel energized, families protect attention. Flow is not selfish, it's transformational. Because when you do your best work, you contribute your best self. And the world does not need more distracted people. It needs more present ones. So today I challenge you. Protect your attention. Design your environment. Seek challenge. Honor recovery. Choose depth over noise, because productivity without meaning is empty. But productivity through flow, that is powerful. That is fulfilling. That is human. As we come to the end of this conversation, I want to step back from tactics and neuroscience and productivity metrics for a moment. Let's zoom out. Flow is not just about getting more done. It is about becoming more alive. In a world that constantly competes for your attention, choosing focus is a radical act. In a culture that rewards constant availability, protecting deep work is courageous. In an economy that equates busyness with value, choosing intentional effort is revolutionary. The American dream has always been rooted in possibility, the belief that through dedication and innovation, we can build something better. But sustainable greatness does not come from scattered effort. It comes from concentrated excellence. Think about history. When Thomas Edison developed his inventions, he worked in long stretches of immersive experimentation. When Steve Jobs helped design transformative products at Apple Inc., it wasn't through fragmented multitasking. It was through obsessive focus on simplicity and experience. When elite athletes like Michael Jordan performed under pressure, they weren't thinking about headlines. They were fully present in the moment. Greatness requires depth. Depth requires attention. Attention requires intention. And intention requires choice. You cannot drift into flow. You must design for it. That means saying no more often. It means creating boundaries in a culture without them. It means closing the laptop, silencing the phone, protecting your mornings, resting without guilt, challenging yourself without breaking yourself. It means redefining productivity not as how much can I endure, but as how effectively can I engage. Because here is the deeper truth. Flow is where performance meets meaning. When you are in flow, you are not chasing validation. You are not performing for applause. You are not counting minutes. You are immersed in mastery. And mastery builds confidence. Confidence builds courage. Courage builds innovation. Innovation builds progress. Imagine workplaces across America built around deep work instead of constant interruption. Imagine schools teaching students how to focus, not just how to memorize. Imagine leaders modeling clarity instead of chaos. Imagine families protecting device-free time. Imagine what would happen if millions of people reclaimed just 2 hours a day of undistracted effort. The economic impact would be enormous, but the human impact would be even greater. Less burnout, more fulfillment, less anxiety, more growth, less noise, more purpose. The future does not belong to the busiest. It belongs to the most focused. In the age of artificial intelligence and automation, routine tasks will disappear. What will remain? Creativity, problem solving, innovation, human connection. All of these thrive in flow. So this is not just about personal productivity. It is about national competitiveness. It is about cultural health. It is about mental resilience. It is about building a society capable of deep thought in a shallow world. And it starts with individuals. It starts with you. When you leave this room, nothing external may change immediately. Your inbox will still be there. Your deadlines will still exist. Notifications will still attempt to pull you back. But now you have awareness, and awareness precedes transformation. You can choose to. Design your calendar instead of reacting to it. Seek challenge instead of comfort. Protect recovery instead of glorifying exhaustion. Create environments that make focus inevitable, because the ultimate measure of productivity is not how drained you feel. It is how meaningful your contribution becomes. Flow is not about escaping work. It is about elevating it. It is about turning effort into art, task into craft, time into impact, and life into something deeply engaged. So I leave you with this. Protect your attention like your future depends on it. Because it does. Seek depth in a world of distraction. Choose mastery over mediocrity. Choose presence over noise. Choose flow over frenzy. And when you do, you won't just work better, you will live better. Thank you. And may your work be deep, your focus be sharp, and your life be lived in flow.